All right, welcome to another episode of the Chicago Bears Fan Show. I'm James, joining you this week, week 4, as we prepare for the Detroit Lions. But let's first bask a little bit in the glorious victory against the Pittsburgh Steelers this past week in Pittsburgh. It was delightful to watch the Bears whoop the Steelers, and they did so in quite elaborate fashion, I think, in the first half, taking it to their defense after getting turnovers. And then softened up a bit in the third quarter. We got a little too close for comfort. But then our man, Jay Clutch Cutler, I can't believe I'm saying that this year, but it's really nice to say, once again just leading some very determined drives downfield, making great, courageous throws in traffic, and stepping up, leading the team, and even putting himself on the line. We don't want to see that all the time, but when he needs to get a first down, he wasn't scared to put his shoulder down and do what it took for the team to keep progressing that drive along. So a lot of great things from the Bears, especially on offense. On defense, like as I said, they were a little soft in the third quarter, and Antonio Brown put up some great numbers. But beyond that, they were pretty well contained. There's some concern potentially around a little bit of injury issue. We'll get to that in the previews coming up for this game. So first thing I want to do is talk about this upcoming game in the context of Detroit Lions offense, and how it could beat the Bears defense, how it could cause problems for us, and how we have to make sure we can stop certain things that they have, certain weapons that they clearly have if we want to win this game. The first and foremost weapon is an obvious one. And it's in their passing game in general. I want to say first and foremost, you're talking about the number 2 passing game in the entire league at this point of the season. Matt Stafford's thrown for the second most yards, and it's not that surprising when you think of their number 1 weapon, the best receiver in the league, Calvin Johnson. And he has had his fair share so far, including big plays that have absolutely turned games around for the Lions. One of them was in Arizona, and he made a huge play on a slant that absolutely took any kind of home advantage out of the crowd at that point in time, sucked the air out of the stadium, and really gave them a chance to win the game. They didn't, but they had a chance to win the game, in part because of those big plays that Calvin Johnson can make. It was against a very good secondary, possibly one of the best corners in the entire league, Patrick Peterson. So Calvin Johnson is a threat at the top of his game right now. He is the best receiver in the league, and even though the Bears have done a good job containing him in the past, I have particular concern this week coming up, and that's because Charles Tillman is a bit banged up right now. He's not playing at full health. Clearly there's something wrong with him. Something to do with his groin, I think, hamstring, groin, potential combination even, I don't know. But it's not good. He hasn't been practicing. It sounds like he's going to play, but he's not going to be at full health. And in part, maybe because of that, they're not going to have him shadow Calvin Johnson exclusively. They're going to be playing sides, him and Jennings. So wherever Calvin lines up, whoever's there will get him. But either way, it's going to be important, no matter who it is, to make sure they have enough coverage, that they're doubling him regularly, they have a man over top. So the safety's going to have to be very aware where Calvin Johnson is in the field and know their assignment, because that's essential. Stopping him is number 1. It is the most important thing by far. He is a core in their passing game. And he is more important now because they lost their number 2 receiver, Nate Burleson, this past week. Had a single person car crash, because he was reaching for pizza that was falling off of his seat. Or at least that's the way the story goes. So he was adding quite an important dimension to their passing attack, and losing him, while they had Ryan Broyles, who's starting to step up and look better as he recovers from ACL surgery, it's still going to be a hit for them. And they're not going to be able to run 3 solid receivers out anymore, and they lose their number 2 guy. So that safety net is now lost. So Calvin becomes even more important when Stafford's looking downfield, looking to make those primary reads to the receivers. So that's why blanketing him, taking away that option, is going to be critical, and even more so than it has been against the Lions in its first 3 weeks for those games. Second thing, so when you think, okay, we've got Calvin Johnson covered, it's the running backs that are now very dangerous, because these are the 2 of the best receiving running backs in the league, in Reggie Bush and Joique Bell. They're very similar in talent, actually. While Reggie Bush might be a little more elusive when he has the ball in his hands out in space, not a whole lot. Joique Bell's quite good, quite under the radar still, I think, but very, very talented. And even better at breaking tackles than Reggie Bush is. Reggie's still hampered by, I think, a knee injury, as he didn't play last week. So we'll see how effective he is. He's obviously going to be healthy enough to play this game by the sounds of it, but, either way, he's a big threat. Joique Bell's a threat if he's in. They're going to be able to rotate those guys through, and that's the best tandem in the league at pass-catching running backs coming at you. So the Bears are going to have to be very aware of that, and to defend that, they're going to have to make sure that they don't overcommit either to trying to rush the quarterback and allow for screen-type plays to develop easily with lots of space, and that they don't favor and evacuate and leave too much space, too much of a vacuum there when they're covering Calvin Johnson. They're going to be careful. The linebackers need to be very aware what the situation is and where the potential opportunity may be, and always have an eye spying on the running back coming out of the backfield. So that's critical. Finally, it's going to be essential for the defensive line of the Bears, who quite frankly has not been very good at getting pressure on the quarterback to this point in the season. They have some of the fewest sacks generated by any defensive line thus far, uncharacteristically, based on what we're used to seeing. But the other side of the coin is that the Detroit Lions have allowed the fewest sacks allowed of any team so far, which is surprising. Now, that's obviously a bit of a compliment to the offensive line, but obviously Stafford has a lot of options. He's finding guys open to get the ball to. And so if the Bears aren't going to be able to get to him immediately, what's going to be important, and this is my third key, is to get hands in the air and in his passing lanes. Make sure he does not have that initial read to flip the ball to. And then make sure once they have him pulling the ball down, they start to collapse on him and get that pressure they need. And if they can do that, they're going to start causing him to make those mistakes that we've seen in the past, where he starts to have bad mechanics and starts to throw off his side and tries to fit the ball into windows that aren't there. And the Bears will then take advantage. We know our defense has that ability, as they've demonstrated already, to take advantage of mistakes, create interceptions, and take the ball the other way for scores. So those are the keys from that side of the ball. In my next video, we'll look at the other side. We'll look at how the Bears offense can take advantage of the Detroit Lions defense, what's going to be important to stop from their defense as well when they match up against those tough front four especially. So come back, check out my next video immediately, and bear down.